Hi everyone, thank you for being here with us today at this Blockchain HEC webinar on the topic of success stories in the Tezos ecosystem. So we have a great lineup and many great speakers with us tonight. But before we dive in, let me introduce myself and take a moment to thank our sponsors. So I'm Jérémy Zarka, member of Blockchain HEC core team. Blockchain HEC was created in 2017 with the aim of sharing knowledge in the Web3 field, the blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and to connect the ecosystems. So tonight I will be moderating the panel with one of our core team fellow, Kyle, who is here, and who is a current student at HEC in Masters in Management. On behalf of Blockchain HEC, I would like to thank our prime sponsor, PwC and Stake Capital Group, and our partner, HEC Alumni, HEC Paris, and all the 80 speakers that were here with us along the years, startups and other corporations who have contributed to sharing their lights on the Web3 universe. I remind you that at Blockchain HEC, we organize several events per month, all of which are recorded and posted to our website, blockchain-hec.com. We have recently published the lineup for the month of November. So let's dive into the topic of tonight, success stories in the Tezos ecosystem. We are extremely lucky to have great panelists with us today. Let's start ladies first. We have Karen Jouve, founder and CEO of Doors3.io, an independent consulting company focusing on Web3. Karen will present her consulting boutique and an NFT project that they recently delivered with L'Équipe on the topic of the Ballon d'Or. So in English, must be the golden balloon or something like this, that recognized the best football player in the French league. So she will speak about digital transformation of large corporations. Our VIP guest tonight is Arthur Breitman, the co-founder of Tezos. Arthur was a research engineer for Google X and Waymo, and he worked as a quantitative analyst for Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Arthur will present Tezos shortly and speak about the ICO that they ran in 2017, the subsequent developments of the technology, and make a focus on the current challenges around Tezos and especially around the scaling Tezos. We initially thought about having a focus on decentralized finance, also known as DeFi. And we are lucky to have two companies operating in that field. First, we have Werner Broniman, I hope I spell it well, co-founder and CEO of Ubinentic, creator of the Youves protocol. Youves is the biggest DeFi protocol on Tezos that lets you borrow, generate yield, and swap tokens. Still on the topic of DeFi, we have Dmitry Kovalevsky, CEO and co-founder of Kord.fi, a leverage liquidity baking app available on Tezos. What is interesting about Kord.fi is that it virtually came from nowhere and managed to get traction in only 2 months after releasing their first version of the protocol. So then Tezos is not only about DeFi. In fact, Tezos is also famous for their projects in arts and NFTs. Last week, Tezos was present at Art Basel, and we decided to complement that panel with 2 projects around NFTs. So we are very proud to introduce Robin as CEO and co-founder of Billy App, a ticketing app that is running on Tezos. Robin will present the app, pitch the startup, and directly answer your questions. Last but not least, we have Karen, who I have already presented. So before we dive into the discussion with Arthur, let me give you a final comment about the organization of tonight's webinar. We will have an airdrop happening. So that is sponsored by the Tezos Foundation. You will see the details of the airdrop on the chat window. The idea is that you fill in, you create a wallet on tezos.com/tez, and then you fill in a spreadsheet with your email. Please make sure that you use the same email as the one you used for the registration, and the airdrop will happen subsequently to the meeting. And so you will discover your prize directly in your wallets. So let's start with Arthur then. So Arthur, we are super happy to have you tonight. So you are the root of the Tezos ecosystem. So that's really you're very the one of very the one at the start. Can you tell us a bit more about how did it all started, the development of the technology, the ICO, and that's some things that we really want to hear you about. I can't hear you, Arthur. Maybe there's a problem.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I prefer to think of Tezos as a forest and not as a tree with a with a root. But I was at the start. So the project started in 2014 as an exploration of the topic of governance on blockchains and proof of stake. And it was really three driving forces: security in smart contract languages. This is at the time where there were basically no smart contract platforms, no hacks, and governance. Again, at the time where there were no governance disputes at all in cryptocurrency space, and proof of stake when it was fairly new and people still thought it was impossible. And it's been a long journey. The chain launched in 2018 after a fundraiser in 2017, and it's been operational for the past 4 years. It's always been running. There's been no serious downtime on it, and it's upgraded over 10 times in the past. This is a chain that can upgrade itself, so it's gotten better and better and better every year now. Every 3 months, there's basically an upgrade making the chain better. Looking to the future, we pioneer proof of stake. We were really the first big chain to launch it. Not the very first with proof of stake, but definitely the staking industry didn't exist pretty much before Tezos and existed after. And we're looking to the future, and the future for us is scaling. So there's been a lot of work in core engineering teams in making Tezos the first really truly scalable blockchain. So that's exciting for the future. But of course, the backbone of the chain wouldn't serve any purpose if it weren't for its users. The users of Tezos have dramatically increased since 2021 with applications like you've mentioned in the space of finance, art, gaming, and more.
It's super interesting. So, so you were pioneering in the proof of stake environment, blockchain. How do you see Ethereum moving to proof of stake? Isn't it a confirmation that you took the right path from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean well, I don't think it's a confirmation because the confirmation came way before that. The confirmation came when Tezos launched and worked. And then the confirmation came when the entire rest of the industry adopted it. Cosmos launched after us with proof of stake, and so did Polkadot, and so did a lot of other chains. I don't think that anyone should have to look to Ethereum for validation. They just joined the rest of the industry after many years after they said they were going to do it.
So what are the fundamental advantages of Tezos, in the competitive Web3 environment? So we talked about proof of stake. Can you elaborate on this? Yeah.
I think the different advantages. One is the stability of the chain. The chain has existed for a long time, and it will keep existing for a long time. It is future-proof in a sense that it can easily upgrade. It has a mechanism for funding its own upgrade. It's been resilient. It's been there for a while. It's not going anywhere. And so if you want to build a business, you need to know that you're going to have this type of resilience. And it's something you get on the Tezos network. It's also the ability that you have to verify the code of your contract. It's very difficult to do formal verification of any contracts on Ethereum. You can do it on Tezos. If you're in an environment like 2021 where everyone is just launching clones of everyone's contract, it's not necessarily that matters, but if you're building a business for a long term, it becomes an important aspect. The fact that we upgrade without forking is also important. If you are an artist and you created an NFT on Ethereum, today your NFT now exists on 2 different blockchains, ETH and ETH-POW. Maybe it's okay because your collectors only care about one chain, but it still creates some ambiguity and some issues. The ability to upgrade without forks is, I think, quite important. And last but not least, I would say the credibility. We were the first to proof of stake. We think we're going to be the first to scale. So very solid, robust technology platform adopted by major industry player with a solid 2-chain, great community in terms of building. But the other aspect beyond that is also, I would say, there's no accounting for taste, but tastes matter. And one of the things we do is we take decentralization seriously. We take design seriously. If you look at a lot of solutions today, on the market, they look decentralized, but they're actually a multi-sig solution. So Polygon, for example, is controlled by a 5 out of 8 multi-sig. That means that if 5 people in the world sign message, they can steal billions of dollars in the Polygon bridge or corrupt every application. 4 of the signatures are held by the core team. The reason they do it, it's not because they're evil, it's just because doing things for real is hard. You have the same thing with Arbitrum, great design, but Arbitrum as a scaling solution for Ethereum relies on the multi-sig. Again, because decentralization is hard. We've always done things for real, whether it's decentralizations, applications, we don't launch and pretend. So we have real decentralization, we're building real scaling, and also I think we've tended to attract real applications. The applications you see on Tezos are applications with a lot of staying power who meet real use cases and are not just chasing the latest hype. So by association, I think it reflects on a project what change they choose.
So what will be the next move for the Tezos business in the next future? So you talked about scaling up Tezos. I've heard also from the ecosystem that you will implement layer 2 soon. Can you elaborate a bit, because we see a race on layer 2 in many blockchains. What would be your strategy to implement layer 2s and for scaling Tezos?
Well, anyone can build a layer 2 on Tezos, and some people already have. There are solutions like Deku, which are layer 2 sidechains for Tezos. There are solutions like Bolt, which are payment channels for Tezos. What we're doing is scaling. It's a bit different. And the scaling we're doing it looks very much like a layer 2 solution. It's based on rollups. The big difference is that it's enshrined in the sense that it's a hard part of the protocol. This is not someone building a smart contract and launching a token with some scaling solution. It is a native part of the protocol. So there is no ambiguity that it is supported with the rest of the protocol. There's no ambiguity that it is part of the core of the chain. It means, for example, that the security of the rollups is a responsibility of the chain and not just of whoever happens to be, like launching an L2 solution, which I think gives a lot more resilience, a lot more coordination. It means it's easier to have universal wallet supports for these rollups. It's easier to have interoperability. It makes a lot of a difference. So it's already something we have on the chain. We have already a rollup scaling solution for transactions only, and we're bringing smart rollups, which will have the full power of any computation. Anything you compile to WebAssembly will be available. So not only will you have a lot of scaling, but you'll be able to deploy any type of application or any type of chain that you can build. Will be able to be deployed on Tezos directly and supported at the protocol level, not as part of a smart contract.
Okay, interesting. So just before we hand over to Raphael, maybe you want to have a word on DeFi, and where do you see DeFi going up in Tezos, and then we'll hand over to Raphael so that he presents the Tezos Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few DeFi applications on Tezos. They are what you might expect. DEX for swapping assets, borrowing platform, lending platform, derivatives, all of the prediction markets, bets, all of that is on Tezos. Looking to the future, I think one thing which will be interesting is one is building a little weirder financial primitives, one that have convexity, not just linear products, but options, variance swaps is an interesting avenue. And the other one is building DeFi for real world assets. There are challenges to doing that, but I believe it's possible to do it in a meaningful way. So if you look at something like yield farming, for example, I think there's two very extreme versions of it. One version of it is, say, you're launching a new token, you want to bootstrap liquidity, you want to distribute it to people, and you say, great, whoever distributes liquidity, whoever provides liquidity will get a token, and it's a way to get going and to pay for your liquidity. On the other extreme, you're basically creating a token out of thin air that is not really valuable, and you're just trying to wheel activity into your ecosystem by just inflating that token away, which doesn't really work. And that's all of the 1,000 APY yield farm that you might see. In between, there's something interesting, and if that innovation could be brought to small and medium businesses, for example, if you're a small and medium business and you have the ability to tokenize, and then say, I am going to take 5% of my cap table, and those 5% of my cap table are going to go towards incentivizing liquidity in my stock for the next year, for example, then you may be able to raise more money because your investors say, hey, actually, I have liquidity in this thing, so I'm more willing to put money in this venture than I would be without the liquidity. So the simplicity of doing that and the ability to bring this to regulated assets and not just to cryptocurrencies like tokenized stocks is quite interesting, and I think we'll see some of that in the future.
Okay. So I see that liquidity is one of the key aspects of DeFi in Tezos. So really interesting, really inspiring. So let's move on, if you don't mind, maybe to Raphael. And obviously, thank you very much, Arthur, for being here with us tonight. If you want to stay around, that would be super good. And maybe there will be questions coming up, in the chat. Don't hesitate to ask questions in the chat. And Raphael, if you want to come up on stage and present what you guys do at the foundation, that would be brilliant.
So hopefully you can see my slides.
And we can hear you. Yeah, perfectly.
Perfect. Yes, my name is Raphael Kuhn, as mentioned. I work as an analyst at the Tezos Foundation in the operations team. And I would like to give you a very brief summary over the Tezos Foundation and its role in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But the purpose of the Tezos Foundation is to support the promotion and development of the Tezos protocol and related technologies around the world through grants, investments, sponsorships, and other meanings. We are based in Zug and are a Swiss non-profit foundation. We have a very long-term focus and conservative investment strategy and the mandate to support the growth of the Tezos ecosystem. Since March 2022, we have committed funds to 56 new projects across 19 countries for a total amount of 35.2 million. And these projects are mainly focused on 3 core categories, which are research, education, and core development, ecosystem, tools and application, and community. We support the growth of the Tezos ecosystem mainly through 4 programs. The biggest one is through the grants program, which is mainly for not-for-profit companies, open source projects, and we can support these companies with a grant. We also do investments, which are for companies that want to make a profit that can be commercialized and are looking for growth. We also have a bounties page where we post predefined projects that we think can help the ecosystem and boost the community, and also through sponsorships of various sponsorships around the world and in various categories. And at the moment, we are mainly focused on 3 core industries, which is gaming, art and NFTs, and decentralized finance. And with that, I would like to give the stage to the projects directly and let them introduce themselves and talk about the projects. Yes, thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know. Here's my email address, and if you Google for Tezos Foundation, you can find our website for more information about the programs.
Thanks a lot, Raphael, for your help, organizing that webinar and for that presentation. That's super interesting. So let's switch to the DeFi protocols. Werner or Dmitry, up to you. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to go first, if that's okay for you, Dmitry.
All right.
Good. I'll share my screen. You can all see it.
You can see it.
So the platform I'm talking about is Youves. Is the tool on Tezos for asset creation and management. One thing that keeps being a bit confusing for people, the company that I'm CEO of is Ubinetic, and Youves is the product. So just to get that out of the way. Youves is currently the biggest DeFi project on Tezos. We have tracker tokens for US dollars and Bitcoin, and currently TVL is around 55 million, given the way TVL is calculated these days, which does involve some double counting usually. This is really a collateralized borrowing and lending platform. So when you create an asset like a US dollar tracker token or a Bitcoin tracker token via minting on Youves, by locking collateral, you're essentially borrowing collateralized, or a Lombard loan, leverage loan, any way you fancy. The mechanics are pretty simple. So the US dollar tracker token is called UUS dollar. If you mint 100 US dollars, you now create the liability of 100. You have 98.44 asset, and you pay away a minting fee of 1.56. Also, there's an ongoing interest rate accrual because there's a liability interest rate that you pay for the amount that you borrow. And you get a claim on an ongoing distribution of the U governance token, depending on the size of the share of your minted assets on the platform. On the interest rate side, we have the asset interest rates, which are basically the liability interest rate minus 1%, and 1% goes to platform revenues. And the interest rates of any one token go to the respective savings pool. If less than 100% of the tokens are in the savings pool, the effective interest rate is a bit higher. So, simple example, if you have $100,000 minted, you have a 6% interest rate, you create 6,000 extra tokens, which are then distributed in the savings pool. If only 50,000 are in the savings pool, their effective interest rate is 12%. Just by sheer virtue of not all of them being there, but the same amount being distributed. So the platform revenues are minting fees, this interest rate differential we just talked about, and there's also a swap component, essentially a decentralized exchange. So there's some swap fees there as well. The platform expenses are mostly gas costs, and the platform profits get distributed in the unified staking pool. So you can lock your U governance token in the staking pool and you get a share of the platform profits. And these funds are at risk for the stability mechanism. So if the platform ever gets severely underfunded, these U tokens in the staking pool can get claimed to refund the platform. So I try to be very brief. There's a lot more I could talk about the platform. What Arthur mentioned earlier on liquidity is really a major pain point and also one of the biggest problems to solve in DeFi. I can subscribe to that 100%.
Thank you. Thank you, Werner.
Yeah. Or maybe you can have a few questions. Maybe two
Sure.
2 minutes questions to you, Werner. So you said liquidity is a challenge. When we prepared for the webinar, you told me that you made very good progress on turning traditional finance entities into your protocol. Can you elaborate a bit on this transformation from traditional finance to decentralized finance?
Sure. I just worried that this is kind of a long topic, but like with Ubinetic, we were very active on trying to educate traditional financial institutions on how to interact with a platform like ours. And it was from the get-go our goal to attract more traditional finance money onto our platform, because we see it as an efficient way for traditional companies to do this collateralized borrowing and lending. I mean, most private banks do a lot of this business, and it's a very significant part of their income. And doing this with crypto, if you do it traditionally on balance sheet, is very capital intensive, and basically outsourcing that and turning it into a pure fee business, in our view, makes a ton of sense. So we hope that we will get more traction on this side and thereby also allowing us to grow in volume.
Okay, super interesting. And Kyle, can we hear you now?
Yeah,
great. Cool, great.
Sorry, everyone. I don't know why my mic is, you can't hear me like for the previous question. Yeah, hopefully it's working now. So just I just want to ask a quick question. Like, what do you think the DeFi will go in the near future? Like in the DeFi industry in general?
There's probably going to be a little more DeFi winter. I think as with all the crypto winters, stuff will get built. The hype cycle will cool down. I mean, it'll be out of favor for a while. Some projects will stop, but we think that eventually it'll come back. And yes, I mean, there's been a ton of scams and fraud in the DeFi space, which I think I'm not very happy about, but I'm glad that this will hopefully not come back.
Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, and another question is that considering the craziness of DeFi summer, like how does bear market impact protocols like API? Like, what do you think about this?
I mean, yeah, it's gonna, like, whenever the token value will always affect any kind of APY, APR calculation if you just distribute that itself. And of course, it's going to look worse. This kind of mercenary capital that's only there to collect the highest yields is an issue. I mean, you have to find this balance of trying to incentivize the early adopters, because otherwise, why would they come? But you also need to make sure you're not paying away too much, or that you're not paying away something that eventually has to be worthless because you just keep generating it. So in that sense, we try to find that balance on our platform, and I think so far it's okay, but yeah, it's actually very difficult to tune that. And given these are smart contracts, you can't just change everything willy-nilly. Like, certain things just keep going.
Thank you so much, Warner.
You're welcome.
Super interesting discussion. So the problem with decentralized finance is that it gets technical very rapidly. And so what I want to suggest for the webinar follow-up is that we give a bit of breath, maybe switch and swap a bit the agenda, and maybe give the floor to Robin, and after that we give the floor back to you, Dmitry. So we switch to an NFT project, or more of a utility project, and then back to DeFi, and then we'll finish with you, Karen. Is that okay? Robin, do you feel comfortable to do it now?
Fine for me.
Perfect. So let's go.
I'm ready.
Cool.
Okay, thanks, guys. So yeah, so my name is Robin, and I'm the CEO of Billy. As you told Jeremy, like, Billy is a ticketing company. It's quite easy, when you go to a sports event, a music festival, you buy tickets. It's an old use case. And at Billy, of course, our particularity is that each ticket is dropped as an NFT. So like, we have 3 core pillars at Billy. The first one is like creativity. We all, when we were young, like 10 years ago, used to collect when we went to an event. Some people put it on their wall. Some people put their tickets in a shoebox as a souvenir. And with the digital era, we lost that, because your tickets is an ugly PDF with a QR code, and nobody wants to collect them anymore. So thanks to NFTs, each ticket can be a digital piece of art that people can collect. For example,
we have a sound problem, Robin.
Okay,
for some reason. Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay, so I was just showing the gallery. Can you see my screen?
Yeah,
everybody?
we can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the idea is we totally reinvent the tickets. We have a strong creativity pillar on Billy, and like, this is kind of your Instagram account, where instead of having your photos, tomorrow you will have all your NFTs gallery from the events you've been to. Some of them are 3D assets that we can play with, just I'm doing right now. Some of them have our GIF with artists and so on. So it's quite cool for the fans, quite cool for the brands and organizers, because they have a new media for creativity. Apart from this pillar, we consider that it's a truly beneficial use case, virtuous for the artist and for the fans, because it brings security. Each NFT being unique, it's impossible to sell it multiple times, like it's possible today with PDF tickets. We saw a big scandal during the final of the Champions League in June in France, in the Stade de France. it was a shame. 3,000 people bought 5 tickets on the and couldn't get in. So today with NFT tickets, this is not possible anymore. And also, thanks to smart contracts, it's also possible to control the secondary market, to cap prices, to have royalties if there is resales, and all that in the benefits of the artists, the organizers, and the brands. So quite virtuous for everybody. And with BD, we go even further because we see each ticket as a membership card that will unlock some digital even once the event is over. So we try to see BD as a platform that will help brands, that will help artists keep a connection to their fans, and engaging them even after the events. So in a nutshell.
Thank you, Robin. So I actually have one quick question. Actually, can you elaborate on what is your business model and what is the problem you are solving?
Of course, problem, but it's quite simple. You can benefit from the secondary market, which is not possible today with the classic ticketing platform. There is also some fraud. You can sell a ticket on eBay, on Facebook, and so on. So you don't have a system with traceability today. And thanks to blockchain, we have traceability. We also have transparency, which help organizers to keep a connection directly to their fans. Today, the majority of the ticketing platform, they act like a wall between the audience and the organizers. They keep the data of the users. They don't share who were at the show and so on. And thanks to blockchain and decentralization, every people that are working with us, even if in 1 year they don't want to work with us anymore, they still have the smart contract deployed. They still have the access to their NFT holders and so on. So it's quite powerful to bring back the power into the hands of the organizers and not in the ticketing system. So that's big problems we are trying to tackle. Also, our business model is quite easy. We take a fee on each ticket sold on BD. Like we take a percentage of the price of each ticket. And also we have like a creative studio that can help the artists and organizers create the assets, whether it's an MP4 video, a PNG, a GLB, a 3D file, and so on. And the final one is what we call BD Engage, like engage your audience. We develop a SaaS tool that will enable people to add utilities to the tickets even after the show. For instance, we are working with a rap band in France. We are going to do 10 events with them, and at the end of their tour, each ticket holders will be able to listen to the new album that will be released some days before it's publicly released. Like yeah, that's one of the thing we are working on.
And so we have a good question from Frederick, and the question is, why did BD select Tezos to run their solution?
Ah, nice questions. Cocorico, I would say. Yeah. Apart from that, like one of the first reason is it's the most green blockchain. Like the consumption on Tezos is quite low compared to some other chains. Also, there is a great ecosystem in France. We are incubated in Nomadics Labs, which is a French startup studio, and they have so much expertise, and they are helping us bootstrap and create the product. So, as a startup, one of the most important thing, is go to market. And thanks to Nomadics Labs, Nomadics Labs, and so on, it was easy for us to have a quick prototype and now an MVP and then a V1 for our product, and that's why we chose green and acceleration with Pirate.
Okay, super interesting. So I think what I have a last question for you, Robin, is what is your strategy towards funding? Are you bootstrapping the business or are you accepting outside investors?
Good question. So we are going to do round soon. Right now we had some business angels and Pirate Labs, our startup studio that helped us financially. But we are going to open our capital in the months to come to do a proper seed round.
All right, super interesting.
Welcome.
So Kylie, go with the next question if you want.
Yeah, and also I also have a quick question for you. So can you please explain a bit like what kind of customers are you currently looking for this project?
Of course. So ticketing is such a big market. We could work in sport, we could work in music, we could work in corporate events, we could work in museums and galleries and so on. But right now, our focus is on, I would say, all music events, festivals and so on, and also some corporate events, crypto events, luxury brands. We worked with Kenzo, which is a brand from the LVMH group some weeks ago. And for this luxury brand, it's very cool to offer a new experience to their audience, more digital but very creative. It's a good opportunity for them to do some branding. Of course, we'll have some announcements in the months to come in the art ecosystem and also in the sport ecosystem. So our strategy is to go big with huge and once we delivered and proved our value proposition in several verticals of then we'll push the button and do our seed round to see that.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Robin. That's super interesting. In the interest of time, I think we will switch to the next speaker, if you don't mind. Thanks a lot for being here with us today. Yeah. So Dmitry, I think it's your round, your turn. Are you okay to go up on stage now?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. And so while you set up your screen and everything, so there were many questions, very technical on DeFi. So if you want to have a look for the speakers, don't hesitate. Some questions I can barely understand them, so sorry for not bringing them up. But yeah, Dmitry, if you want to share your screen, just go for it. Or otherwise, I have your presentation. I can do it. Tell me what you prefer.
So I think I'm sharing already now. I think I'm. Can you see my screen?
No. It's still the screen of Robin. Yeah, it's okay. It's up. Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I'd like to talk about yield opportunities on Tezos. So mainly about liquidity baking and Kord.fi, which is lending and leverage liquidity baking platform. So first of all, about Kord.fi. So it's a rather new leveraged farming platform in Tezos. So we launched at the end of July on TestDev in Paris. And we gathered about 1.2 million in TVL for the first 3 months. And what we do is we offer interest rate on lending Tezos and Bitcoin. So on average, you can get about 10% on Bitcoin for just Bitcoin deposits. And you can also get leveraged exposure in liquidity baking farm, which can be as high as 50% or more in APY. So I'd like to tell you a bit more about what is liquidity baking and why is it interesting. So liquidity baking tries to solve the liquidity problem, which we already touched upon on this meeting. Namely, liquidity baking is a constant formal market maker, decentralized exchange. So basically, it's a pool of two assets, Tezos and Bitcoin, and users can exchange Tezos for Bitcoin with this decentralized exchange, and they will pay some fee. Part of the fee would be burned, and part of the fee would remain in the pool, benefiting the liquidity providers. What is interesting is that this exchange is subsidized by the protocol inflation, which makes it more profitable to supply liquidity to the exchange, and also makes the APY more stable. As if somebody is like more technical, you can go to the Tezos block explorer at tzkt.io and look at the contract itself. So you will be able to see that each block, the contract receives 2.5 Tez in subsidy. And these 2.5 Tez add up to about 20% APY currently. So how you can earn this 20% APY? So in order to get them, you need to get Sirius token, which is the name of the LP token of the liquidity baking exchange. So usually you obtain the Sirius token when you provide liquidity. So when you inject Tezos and Bitcoin in equal amounts to the exchange. As you can see, the APY is currently 20%. And if you plot the Sirius token historically and compare it to Bitcoin, you can see that Sirius token gained more than 100% more compared to Bitcoin since its launch. And it's really very interesting because on most of the other DEX, like Uniswap, the LPs usually, like most of the LPs lose money. And here you can see that the liquidity provision was actually very, very profitable. But in order to provide liquidity, you usually need to supply both tokens, so both Tezos and Bitcoin. And the question is, if you can earn some of the returns just holding Bitcoin or just holding Tez. And the question is yes. And here comes our platform. Our platform connects two types of users, lenders and farmers. So lenders can provide deposits in Tezos and in Bitcoin, and farmers can borrow Tezos or Bitcoin in order to leverage their exposure. So I imagine most of the audience have like deep finance understanding. So I'd say that this setup is very similar to margin lending, which is a very important business of most of the brokers. So basically, here you as a Tezos holder or as a Bitcoin holder, you can play a role of the margin provider, because you can actually lend your Tez or Bitcoin for other users who want to get extra leverage. And currently, the rates can be very attractive. So namely, right now you can get 10% yield on your Bitcoin without impermanent loss risk. And if you decide to farm, you can get up to 50% APY with impermanent loss risk, but you can get these APY numbers just by holding Bitcoin or holding Tez, which is very attractive. So if we return to the liquidity problem, still liquidity is growing, but I'd view it not only as a problem, but as an opportunity, because low liquidity allows for very, very high APYs that you can get on Tezos. So I'm not sure you can get close to 10% APY or more on Bitcoin or any other chain. And also important thing to say about this APY is that this APY is paid in kind, so in Bitcoin and not in some other token which depreciates in value. So this is like real yield, not yield in some third-party tokens. Basically, you can access those yields at our decentralized application. So this is how you would see the lend and farm pages. So in this example, some user gained about 1% on their Bitcoin for the past month and a half. And so that's it. That's what I wanted to talk about Kord.fi and liquidity baking today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Thank you for introducing Kord.fi to us. Actually, I'm curious that where's the IP of your service, and is everything open source in Kord.fi?
Yes. So we think it should be somewhere in the docs. So we released the audit report and the source code. So I will check and update the links.
Super interesting. And so what is your strategy with regards to DAO? How do you decentralize it and maintain the protocol while having a company? So what is your setup?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So for now we have not yet launched a DAO. So the protocol is controlled by the dev team. So we plan to launch DAO in the next few months. So right now our goal is to launch another DeFi product that would have some synergies with Kord. And then we would launch a unified token for both protocols and would allow our users to influence the governance decisions.
Okay, and also I want to know that currently within the overall landscape, who are your main competitors?
So I wouldn't say competitors, because ecosystem is growing and different protocols try to be complementary to each other. For example, we plan integrations with other farms to provide leverage for them, and with the exchanges by launching some delta neutral strategies on top of them. And also we would be interested in connecting to the to wallets, as wallets are the places where the end users are, to provide the one-click yield solutions directly there. And of course, you've probably heard that Allbridge came to Tezos today. And we also plan working with them to allow to channel liquidity directly to our yield solutions.
Super interesting. So Dmitry, thank you very much. It's very interesting, very technical. We are doing the big gap here tonight in this webinar between NFT projects and decentralized finance. So again, there were many questions in the chat that we can't really answer, but what we'll do is we'll compound everything and send it to compile everything and send it to everyone, so that we can trigger the discussion between all the participants. It's 10 to 7. I think it's time for us to switch to Karen. Otherwise, we'll finish too late. So thank you, Dmitry. And Karen, then the floor is yours. So to present at doors3.io, what you do at this consulting boutique, and also that big project on the golden balloon. How do you say that in English? Ballon d'Or.
Sure, yes. Thank you, and thank you, everyone. I will be quick, I think. I will try. So yes, I founded Doors3 as a Doors consulting group, which is the first independent consulting firm specialized in Web3. We are based in France, but we also work at for the international. And we help brands imagine and concretize their presence in the Web3 ecosystem, from strategy to execution. So we help many brands from luxury sector, sports sector, but also entertainment and corporate like banks or airports and automobile sector. We also founded Doorsport, which is the first Web3 sport agency. And we help big brands in sports to grow in Web3. For example, the French Federation of Football, the National Rugby League, who will launch also NFT project on Tezos, but also the National Handball League and the Group L'Équipe, and the famous Ballon d'Or ceremony, or Golden Ball, if you want. And so, yes, today I'm really happy to share with you our feedback following the launch of the L'Équipe group. So I think many of you know the Group L'Équipe. They are a big media in the sport industry, sport and entertainment. And they have the Ballon d'Or ceremony, which is one of the famous ceremonies around the world. And we had the pleasure with Doorsport to help them to go through the Web3 ecosystem and launch their first NFT drop on the Tezos blockchain, obviously. So just to remind you a bit of the project, the project started in June. We work on a strategic framing because, as you know, it's a big challenge for the Group L'Équipe to expose the potential offered by the Web3 because they are just a traditional brand. And the Ballon d'Or immediately seemed to be an indispensable asset and perfectly adapted to a Web3 activation because today we have a big community of football fans around the world. So the first strategic axis was to launch the L'Équipe group in the Web3 to pursue a challenge of innovation. That is really the first challenge, but also to build the most exclusive community of football fans by making them live incredible experiences. And as the Ballon d'Or is unique and belongs to the players, we have to think about the storytelling, and we choose to based on pyrite, which is a mineral that makes the base of the trophy. So all the collection was based on the pyrite. So we launched the project this year, and it was launched with several major milestones. A first auction in early September of 3 NFT called True Pirates that allowed the holders to attend the 2022 Ballon d'Or ceremony as a player. VIP transportation, players hotel, arrival on the red carpet, and we had a little boy who was able to exchange with Kylian Mbappé and Karim Benzema, for example, and live these memories forever. So it was really interesting to see this community. Then we made a world first on the evening of the ceremony by giving each winner a digital twin of the trophy in the form of NFT, and all secured on a ledger key designed in gold for the occasion. So it was really a world first for a ceremony such as Ballon d'Or. Then we made a collection of 2022 NFT whose reveal takes place tonight, and allowing to win a lot of utilities such as access for 20 years to the ceremony, Sora cards of the Ballon d'Or, autographed jerseys, box seats for the games of the winners, etc. And then on November 8th, we will auction 2 artistic NFTs at a traditional football photo auction from the Groupe L'Équipe. So as you see, a lot of milestones for a first time. And I will say that the success of this operation was multiple for us and for the group. First, the arrival of a traditional group in the Web3 in a period of bear market. And as you know, it's not really easy. Second, an innovation pushed to its maximum. So today, the Groupe L'Équipe is one of the best media in digital, and it was natural to say that they have to go in the Web3 ecosystem. And for sure, the constitution of the first community of 7,000 people, holders, members, and actors of the next editions. And also, last but not least, a world premiere during the ceremony who was retransmitted in the whole world. So let's just imagine when Karim Benzema had the trophy, he had also an NFT, and it was retransmitted all around the world. So with Dorsport, we help this project from start to finish on all the aspects: strategy, business, tech, marketing, creativity, finance, legal, and relied on Scheme, which is an integrator on the Tezos blockchain, with the help of Nomadics Labs and Tezos Foundation, and Léo Caillard, who is a famous crypto artist of the NFT factory in Paris, and also sculptor. We also were able to count on the support of major partners of the ecosystem and French partners such as Sora, Ledger, Asher Owen, and a lot of crypto media. And you have to know also that part of the funds will be donated to a foundation, the Fondation L'Équipe, to have a positive and sustainable impact in the world. And they will give 50 NFTs to the association called Sport dans la Ville, for young soccer fans who are following the sports commentator program. So it was also really important for the Groupe L'Équipe to have a good and positive impact. And that was why also we choose for sure the Tezos blockchain. And just to give you a quick feedback, because I see the time, we realized from this experience and many of our experience with our clients that we are still in a crucial learning stage today in Web3. If it seems natural for us to speak and understand Web3 and also DeFi before, it's not the same for the majority of people and also in companies. And the challenge is really here to educate, acculturate, allow to immerse and to project oneself. And even if we build a strong technological assets, the main asset is the community, really the community, and the notion of ownership, which is enabled by blockchain, allows for a new approach that rethinks the fan experience, for example, in sport, but also in other sectors. And so, just to conclude, choosing the Tezos blockchain was also a choice to have a neutral impact first for the Groupe L'Équipe, to engage a new community thanks to the various projects that already exist on this technology. So we work closely with a lot of projects like Dogami, for example. And it's a good, a good infrastructure to limit cost on the fees and evaluate on the secondary markets. And for the Ballon d'Or, we also open the possibility of making collaborations with many brands, and some announcements will be made in this sense, for example, with a major club in Europe. And we are convinced that all brands will go into Web3, but maybe not for the same reason and not at the same time. But yeah, it was a really good experience, and we are proud of that.
Thank you, Karen, for introducing those three. I see that your business is structured around 3 verticals, luxury, sports, and etc. So can you explain why?
Yeah, so actually we evaluate for Doors Consulting Group because we build Doors as a consulting firm, and today we become a group. And first, yes, we were addressing like sports, luxury, and entertainment sector. Because it was natural that this sector was really open for the Web3. But now we are restructuring ourselves and we address a lot of expertise. So we will have 4 pillars, Doors Consulting, who is really the consulting firm and the global partner for brands from strategy to execution. We will have Doors Marketing, which is really a partner on marketing, growth, and influence. We'll have Doors Tech, which will be the partner on the tech side, like cybersecurity, smart contract development, but also POC and MVP. And then Doors Meta on the development of metaverse and gaming. So yes, first we build our company on sectors, but now we address a lot of sector, and we think that expertise are more valuable for our clients.
Super interesting. And so maybe one last question from me. I see that time is running. So you said that you are at the core of the, those digital transformations, and so those groups will not do the same transformation. They will not do it at the same time. My question is really on what are the key levers that you activate, to execute well that transformation, and what are the key difficulties that you face, difficulties that hinder that transformation?
Yes, really good question, and hard to explain in 1 minute. But I think the main difficulties or the main challenges are first, you have to educate and acculturate, and it's one of our pillars. Because in all the traditional company, not some people know this ecosystem, and it's really important to bring them actor and not just a spectator. I think also that the challenge is from a legal point. We see with a lot of clients from sports, from for example, luxury sector also, or entertainment, that there are a lot of key points on the legal side, and it's really important to work on it. And I also think that the challenge is to maybe bring a Web 2.5 experience first, and then go progressive to a Web 3 project. Because today, a lot of brands and companies are not really live and have not built a strong digital transformation. So when we speak about Web3, it's like really futuristic. So I think they have to have a lot of milestones before to go to a really good Web3 project. And just to say that today, when we help brands, a lot of times we start from training, then consulting with a strategic point of view, and then we go to execute and deployment, because they also have to build a long-term vision and to be agile about this ecosystem who is running fast. But it's important to have a long-term vision and not just launch an NFT drop or a metaverse experience just for marketing.
Thank you, Karen. Time flies super fast. So right now, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you for this great discussion. And thanks to you for your nice questions and contributions. So I hope that this will give you help for more clarity to the people present, as well as to all those who will see the replay on our site. And I also want to remind the audiences that we have several conferences like this ones in the coming weeks. So please follow us on LinkedIn and or on our website to stay tuned about the next events. I wish you a very nice evening, and I hope we will cross each other sooner or later. Thank you so much.
I think we went up to like 30, I think above 30 people in the room. So that's really good. So thanks Raphael, Dmitry, Karen. That was really cool. I hope you enjoyed the event as much as we did with Kyle. So you know,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Karen, and talk to you very soon. And Raphael,
yeah, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Raphael, I hope you're satisfied as well. Did you see the spreadsheet with the names?
Yes. Should we wait till tomorrow? Maybe some.
Yeah. We'll do it later. You know, we yeah. Let's go for a beer now, and we'll.
Let's do tomorrow, Jim.
Yeah. See you, Karen, and Raphael. Maybe we can have a chat together to arrange this airdrop later on. Thanks, Dmitry.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.